What's good? This is Trey, and the topic of this video is how to create a intense emotional connection with a woman. All right. So I want to make this as straightforward and as simple for you as possible, so you can go and apply it right away. Right. So what I found is if you want to create a intense emotional connection with a woman, where she is like, you know what I mean, she's thinking about you, you know what I mean, like she cares about you, where she, you know what I mean, responds to your text, she responds to your messages, she wants to be around you because you created emotions in her. It's not like this flat line or whatever. It's like you create these emotions with your communication because she's seeing you a certain way, she has a certain perception of you. So how do you create that? The way how you do that is by doing two things. The first thing you have to do is you have to speak to her genes, right? Speak to her genetics, speak to her DNA, speak to her biology. Okay? What does that mean? You speak to, it's almost like you're speaking to her body, right? You're speaking to her animalistic nature. Yeah, this is not the average advice, but that's what you have to do. What do I mean by that? You speak to what she really wants at a DNA level, at a genetic level. She wants a man who is communicating the highest level of survival that she has access to. As a man, if you can do that, then you're speaking to her genes. And guess what? Her genes are selfish. So her genes will override her body with emotions, with feelings, with whatever it has to do to get her to go in the direction of the most survival. All right. So how do you demonstrate survival? Well, Mystery, who was one of the first people to create might have been the first one or one of the first to create the whole pickup artist movement, he talks about five. So I'm going to talk about the five. It's pre-selection, which means you already have other women who have basically demonstrated they're interested in you sexually, right? They're interested in you sexually, not as friends, sexually. Leader of men, so you have to have leadership qualities. You have to have enough value that men will follow you. Protector of loved ones, you can't be a pussy. You gotta be a type of guy that will step up and protect the people you love. Healthy emotions, you cannot be out of control. You have to be in control of your emotions. And successful risk taker, you have to be willing to take risks. You have to be willing to be courageous. You have to be willing to step up when it's time to step up, and be uncomfortable. Be comfortable with being uncomfortable. So basically, you have to be a real man. Okay? If you can demonstrate those five things to a woman, you're speaking to her genes. You're speaking to her genetic code. You're speaking to her biology, her nature. And she will respond to you much differently than you would have thought, right? If you try to speak to her logically, good luck with that. It's better for you to speak to her genetic code, right? So try that. If you haven't been doing that, try it out and see what happens, right? Or if you're already doing it, amplify it. The next thing you need to do is speak to her soul, right? If you can speak to someone's soul, they will be affected emotionally. How do you speak to someone's soul? That's kind of hard to do because you can't really know, how do you know someone's soul? You can't see it, right? What I found, and this is I kind of was talking about this in another video, is you want to create a sexy archetype, and you want to go into a niche. Find a niche that you are passionate about. A niche. What do I mean by that? Like, go start living the life you really want to live. Like, whatever your hobbies are, whatever the things you love to do, Go into those things, because go and spend time doing those things and getting around other people who are into those things, specifically women. Because if you go into those niches that you already are interested in, like your personality matches up with those niches, like that's the shit you're into. Like for example, let's say you really love basketball, right? Because at one point I really loved basketball. That would be where I would put my attention. I would go to events, basketball events. I would go to basketball meetups. I'd go and play basketball. And I want to get around women who are into basketball, because then when I communicate to these women, all I have to do is just speak about my love for basketball, and you know what I mean? And it's going to hit because they're into basketball too. And I'm going to be speaking to their soul because that's what they love too. So you got to go into these niches where all you have to do is be yourself, and you'll be speaking certain people you're going to connect to really well because they have similar experiences as you and have a similar love for the things you love. And when you speak to them, it hits emotionally, right? If you are talking about basketball, let's say you love basketball with all your heart and soul, but you talk to somebody that hates basketball, you speak to him, matter of fact, you might even create an emotional connection, but not a positive one, right? You need to create a negative emotional connection, right? A negative emotional communication. I wouldn't call that a connection, right? But if you want to connect with someone, you have to speak their language. You have to speak in a way that they understand, that they can relate to. When you speak to them, you talk about basketball, you say, oh yeah, I started playing basketball when I was 5 and this happened and this happened. They can relate to that and they start going back into those emotions and they feel it, and you speak into their soul, right? But if you try to go in a niche that you're not familiar with, like maybe you see one of your friends having success with women in a certain environment or whatever, and you try to go in there just because you see him having success, but maybe that's not your niche, that's not your vibe, that's not your environment. So you go over there, you try to talk to women, they can't relate to you because you talking about other shit that they're not into. You're not speaking to their soul. You're speaking past them. You're speaking in another language basically, as far as they're concerned. So in order to create emotional connection with a woman, intense emotional connection, speak to her genes and speak to her soul. You do those two things, you'll be good to go. All right? So if you are a man and you are struggling in your dating life and you would like some help, you would like some guidance on how you can start achieving your goals and getting the results you want, send me a private message. Let's have a conversation. Let's see what you need to do to take your dating life to the level or condition that you would like it to be in. Thanks for watching. Peace.